Trump trounces Biden. That is the message the former president's allies are spreading after last weekend's Palm Beach fundraiser. According to the Trump campaign, the Saturday evening event raked in more than $50 million. That's nearly double the $26 million that Joe Biden's Radio City Music Hall function raised last month. Now, to be clear, that $50 million figure can't be independently verified ahead of the Trump campaign's finance filings later this year. I wouldn't be shocked, though, if the former president is fudging the numbers somehow. But let's take them at their word for the time being. This is a big victory for Donald Trump. No one can deny that. However, while Trump won this fundraising battle, he is losing the fundraising war. The Democratic Party raised more than $90 million in March. Add that to what they've already raised, and they have a whopping $192 million heading into the spring. Meanwhile, the Trump campaign and the RNC raised just $65.6 million in March, giving them a total of $93 million on hand. The Democrats' war chest is more than twice the size of the Republicans. So yes, Donald Trump had a good night in Palm Beach, but he needs many, many more good nights in order to catch up with the Democrats. And that's going to be hard because the GOP's billionaire donors, they know a lot of that money that they're going to give is not going to put ads on the airwaves or hire campaign staff, but instead flows straight toward Donald Trump's legal bills, literally. As reported by the New York Times, the first $6,600 of any and all contributions go to Trump's campaign. The next $5,000 go to his Save America PAC, aka the political account he is using to foot his legal bills. That is the maximum amount allowed under federal rules. The RNC then gets the next $400 or so thousand. And of course, we know that Donald Trump's daughter-in-law now helms that organization. Finally, if there's any money left over, then and only then do state Republican parties get to beg for some pennies. So I wouldn't be surprised if the former president's billionaire backers are less generous going forward. And that is hardly the end of Trump's financial problems.
And another issue facing the Trump campaign is small dollar donations. Obviously, this was a billionaire fundraiser last night. But small dollar donations, an issue that they're facing. The Biden campaign touting their small dollar donations, though. There was a press release that went out from them claiming that 96% of their donations this last quarter were under $200. Now, we also heard from Trump last night as he headed into that big fundraiser, and he repeated lines that we typically hear on the campaign trail.
And people are just wanting change. The rich people want it, poor people want it, everybody wants change. Our country is really doing poorly.
The key soundbite there, the rich people want change, the poor people want change. Well, actually, Donald, as that reporter pointed out, it doesn't seem like middle and lower income Americans want change. Or if they do, you're certainly not the change they're interested in because you're not getting any small dollar donations. The only folks keeping your campaign afloat are your billionaire buddies. And none of them are all that fond of you. Case in point, there was a development in Trump's New York civil fraud saga this weekend. As reported by the Daily Beast, Knight Specialty Insurance, the company owned by mega donor Don Hankey that swooped in to bail out Trump with a $175 million bond, well, it is unlicensed in New York. And what's more, the company's lawyers wrote up a bizarre contract that doesn't actually promise it will pay if the former president loses his bank fraud case on appeal. Rather, it says Trump will pay, which negates the whole point of an insurance company guarantee. In other words, Trump's billionaire backers are only so loyal to him. They may be in for a penny, but they're not in for a pound, let alone several million pounds. I spoke with former Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger about all of this earlier today. Take a listen.
So Donald Trump, but people still are giving him money. I mean, he got $50 million over the weekend. Why are rich people, and even not so rich people, poor people, why are they continuing to give him money? And what do you think of that $50 million?
First off, let me say, I'll address the actual 50 first. I think a lot of it is smoke and mirrors. So I'll tell you, when I was in Congress, this was an annoyance. Like, I had fundraisers that would, obviously I'd do a fundraiser and they'd come in and they'd want to inflate the numbers of what they raised for me, because it makes them look good. And they were good fundraisers, but I would see so-and-so gave $4,000, so-and-so gave $5,000. And I'd look back and be like, wait, I already got a like a letter from you saying that so-and-so gave $4,000, but then you actually took the check in at that, so then you double counted it. And then the other thing is that includes direct contributions to Donald Trump, money to Donald Trump's super PAC. Probably they counted everything given from January here, and then probably a lot of commitments forward. So if somebody said, hey, look, Donald, I'll give you $5 million your super PAC $5 million over the course of this election, they probably counted it at that event because Donald Trump made it clear he wanted to beat Joe Biden. So still a lot of money. And what I would put on it is it's a cult. And I think when you look at particularly those on a fixed income, right? These are the ones I'm most concerned about. Billionaires can spend their money how they want. But the people that are like on Social Security, they have been convinced, Don, that, look, if I convinced you that I was the only thing that stood between you and certain death, or like you and the end of your life, basically, you would part with anything, no matter how much or little money you had. And so what they do is they feed these people's dopamine system and then get them to give them their $100 out of their Social Security check because they truly fear that their children are going to die somehow if the Democrats win. And
it's like a phone scam when they target elderly people. Right?
I'm glad you said that. It is elder abuse. There is no, in my mind, although it's legal, in theory, elder abuse is legal. If you have a caretaker that convinces a senior citizen to give up their assets to them, the big challenge is like trying to take that to court because the person is of sound mind. I think this is elder abuse in many cases. And on the billionaire side of it, look, it's, Donald Trump is a transactional person. He knows how to promise these billionaires that any money they give him will be compounded in what they get back in tax benefits or access or anything like that. And it's a flaw in our election system. And I wish it didn't take a constitutional amendment, but it's going to take a constitutional amendment to fix.
Well, this billionaire investor, John Paulson, set this record. He had this event at his Palm Beach home. He set a record for, I think, $25 million. It doubles the $25 million that Joe Biden got in his campaign when he was in New York with all the former presidents. So you're saying even that is a scam, and you're calling it elder abuse. Where does it stop with Donald Trump?
I mean, he cares about one thing. He cares about himself. That's it. And and there's a real impact to the country on it. I mean, look, honestly, if I was running for re-election and I knew that there were people that were driving an Uber shift and then giving me the money from the Uber shift, I wouldn't want that to happen. I just wouldn't. Like I have a bit of a sense of like, I would feel bad about that. And he doesn't. So that's what it comes down to. But I think, Joe Biden will continue to out fundraise him. What I'll look for in the next few months is what numbers does Donald Trump report? Has he taken that $50 million? Has that kind of loaded a lot of the money that is going to come? And we'll be able to tell that over the next few months and see if the $50 million was a scam or if there's really, people that are willing to part with that kind of dough behind him.